Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid any lazy negativity, we have decided to make this here episode a drinking game. Anytime you hear something
First meal
negative,
of the day here, folks.
First meal of the day. John just finished his last grad school paper. Congratulations. But we got to keep it moving because we are a positive criticism podcast, which means we try our best to focus on keeping it positive at any time we can't help ourselves, even when talking about this absolute class film, Doctor Strange 2. Even then, if we say anything negative, you're going to hear this sound. And that means that we have to take a drink. And we hope you play along with us and drink it home.
So pour yourselves a glass and another and another and another and another. Actually, I thought there'd be more multiverses, to be honest. But yeah. Anyway, we'll carry on.
You can't trash on this yet. All right, we got to keep. We're still in the intro. Okay, we're done. That's it. Love of cinema. Thanks for joining. If you're new to the podcast, we're not going to keep it spoiler free for very long today. But
in fact, that ends the spoiler free section.
Well, a lot of people have seen this movie. We'll say like 5 minutes today. We'll just go around and give you like a little thumbs up or thumbs down, and then we'll fucking dive into this. So we're gonna curse. We're gonna drink beer. John, who are our sponsors? Why don't we shout them out?
We have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroza. You can find his Instagram handle in the show notes, or you can just head on over to Instagram at cbarrozo.beer, CBARROZO.BEER. The music on this episode and every single episode is provided by the artist Dasein. Head on over to the show notes, and you can find the link there to find your way to SoundCloud. And we'll be adding a Bandcamp and possibly Spotify link as well soon. All right, let's do it.
Well, Dave, is there anything we need to know before we give you our initial... Oh, I'm getting a little blurry here, but my sound should be okay.
Yeah.
Anything we need to know before we just give you our initial reactions, whether or not we like the movie, etc.?
I don't think so. I mean, most people who are watching Marvel movies have kept up. There's no one, I think, going in cold to see this, except maybe one or two girlfriends who are dragged to it. But I will say,
or
like, they've come out, or boyfriends. That's true. They have come out swinging with the screenings. Times Square AMC had 70 screenings listed for Friday. So they're going for the motherfucking record. Like,
God, dude.
You could not get a ticket to this thing. It broke the servers when they released the tickets because it had like 7 months, ever since like just after Spider-Man, 7 months of publicity and little glimmers of releases and stuff in trailers, and everybody got excited and everyone had their theories and the internet went nuts every time a trailer came out. And so, yeah, when this thing hit, it hit with a wave.
Wow.
And based on that,
when did y'all see it?
I saw it Sunday.
What time of day?
Mine was at 2 p.m.
All right, Jeff.
6:45 p.m.
Okay. All right. Cool. So I was able to catch it real late, last minute at like 11:30 at an IMAX here, which worked out. LA shuts down at like 11 o'clock, so not much happens here at late night. But yeah, this was like impossible to get tickets for like the regular time, like more normal times, even during the days on the weekend. It was crazy impossible.
Yeah, when I first tried to get my tickets, the server had crashed and I couldn't get into AMC's website at all. I had to get up, like I was getting up for work early, so I got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and booked my tickets for my 2 p.m. session then. It was the only time I could get on the bloody servers.
Interesting. Yeah, all right.
So every man and his dog has probably gone out and seen this.
It's only grossed 412 million worldwide so far. So I guess some people have gone to see this flick. It's grossed about 187.5 in the US and Canada. Not too fucking shabby for an opening weekend.
And that's without China, because I'm pretty sure it's banned in China already.
I thought they were going to modify it for China.
No.
I
think they said no, because they said no to Spider-Man. They weren't modifying that, and I don't think they're modifying this either. It'd be a bad time to pull that.
That's right, people. There are about 8 seconds of gay stuff in this movie, so I guess it has to be banned. It is definitely banned in like Saudi Arabia and a lot of the Arab nations too.
It's like half their potential revenue. Wow.
What's so funny
Kevin Feige, man, staying by Feige or whatever, staying by his principles there.
What's
cool.
funny is that scene is such like a punch in too, that they definitely could have filmed an alternate one and then just eaten shit in the press. Like they still released Mulan.
I mean, they could, but
so,
it's like one of the points of the character. Like you can't change the character that much, especially when everyone's celebrating they finally have one. So
a character that I had never heard of, and I guess that we'll get into it. But I guess that I did want to ask you when we get into our details, like, is she the child of a lesbian couple in comics that are more famous than I've ever heard of? I didn't know who this person was.
No,
we'll get into that.
I think it's just a little representation, but yeah. Anyway,
I did too. I thought it was just a good social.
Well, so the setup really quick. So this is directed by Sam Raimi, who was 22 and he directed The Evil Dead. That's right. And then of course, yada yada yada, a lot of movies, and then the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. This movie has some horror elements to it. Spider-Man. Yeah. There's definitely some horror elements to it. I mean, I'm not going to say it's like scary, but I would say like horror, yes, scary, maybe.
I mean, it'll put a fucking 6-year-old in therapy.
I
saw Jurassic Park when I was 6. I shouldn't have, and that I think was scarier than this, but that's just me.
Yeah, but that was like fucking dinosaurs, which are real till you wake up. This is the fucking Scarlet Witch pulling a carry, walking out of fog covered in blood. Like
that's cool. That's cool shit.
We've seen that in the trailer. That's not a spoiler.
What's interesting is there's only one credited writer, even though you knew a whole bunch of people were getting their fingers in that fucking ink.
Yeah, this was curious to me.
But he's a newish writer. I mean, he works on Rick and Morty for a long time, but
he's written one episode.
He co-created
one episode of Rick and Morty.
Well, he's listed as a producer for 7 years, and he is an executive producer for this show called Heels, which I tried watching, and it's not great. It's on Stars, and it's about like wrestlers or something. Mm-hmm. Stephen Amell, and then he's a co-creator of Loki, which I thought was a pretty fine series, and did some multiverse stuff. Yeah. So I guess that makes it okay, but he didn't like write a movie. You know what I mean? So it's really interesting that this is his first. I think, right? Am I wrong by this? This is his first like written movie.
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting.
I learned recently from one of my screenwriting professors that Marvel has its own fellowship attached to certain screenwriters, and they sign a contract, which means all of that material that is created within those years of whatever that contract is belongs to them. And some of the writers who have written some of the famous ones that aren't the directors, they came out of that group. They developed a story inside the Marvel world, so they're not technically credited for anything before that. So I don't know, he may have been one of those people. I know the Guardians of Galaxy writer, she wrote that inside their sphere, so it appeared like she wasn't doing anything until then, but she was doing that. So I don't know. This might be one of those things as well, because he kind of came out of the woodwork, and you're like, you always want to know how the hell did they get that meeting where they pitched this script. I mean, if he wrote the entire fucking script, it doesn't sound like a development deal. So I'm curious. I would be curious to know that as well.
Maybe it's like all the K-pop groups that all go there and they all audition for like to be on the team. But if you don't make the team, you're fucked. But if you do make the team, you're an international star. Like maybe it's something like that.
Once you got to they had him on board for Loki, and it's like, well, you broke it. You deal with it.
Yeah.
So let's do initial reactions, so we can go ahead and open up the conversation with some spoilers. So spoiler-free initial reactions. We'll come to Dave second, I guess. No, we should come to. I feel like we should start with positive. So Dave, what do you want to start? No, I'm gonna try my best. Go ahead, Dave.
I didn't care for this.
Oh my God!
Out of the woodwork. You thought you pimped him into the positive. All right, this is going to be fun. Dave, go.
Well, he made the beer joke before, but I didn't. Okay.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
No, I had a feeling. We didn't get any super pumped texts about it. So I was like, I have a feeling Dave's going to say something.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was good, but I feel like maybe the screenplay could have used about 3 more passes or something. It just wasn't all there.
People have been breaking it up. People have been breaking it up into 3 acts. I mean, a lot of movies get broken into 3 acts, but especially with this one, it's very polarizing. Like which acts people are like, I don't like that act. I don't like that act. And it's different from people I read. Can you spoil a little bit which acts of the screenplay like were stronger or
weaker? The very beginning, because you just jump straight into the action, that kind of threw me a bit.
Me too. It was like a TV show, right?
Then it kind of settles down into some story, and I like when we get to like you settle down and he deals and he's going to a wedding, and I got serious like Fantastic Four 2 vibes off that. Where and it was just, and then that then there was the monster fight, and it was like great, and then we settled down into some more plot, and it was kind of, I don't know, there were little islands of gold in there, but it just felt like in between that, I heard like someone literally stood up and went when I was walking out. The conversations when I was walking out was very interesting because they included the word disappointing. and they included the word cheesy as far as the dialogue was concerned. I felt like saying cheesy dialogue. Like, have you been away from cinema that? Or did you forget? Like, this is a Marvel movie. There's bound to be some cheesy lines. It's based on comic books, but like, I'll grant it. Yeah, there's a little bit of cheese in there, but disappointing is one that that resonated with me because, here's why. When they first released this trailer, like for this movie, the Marvel marketing machine went to work and they just put little things there. And then you got, you're a little bit of a hand in one shot and a voice. And you're like, everyone's losing their mind going, oh my God, it's this. Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? Are they going to do that sort of thing? And for the promises that this movie made, and they sat back and let people make their theories. So everyone went in with expectations through the roof and the reality was nowhere near what your expectations were. So a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Like they over-marketed this. They should have kept it close to the chest and just left that. Like you don't need to put that shit in a trailer. Who's not going to see this after Spider-Man?
All right, well, remind me that you said that because I don't want to spoil it yet. But I'm gonna ask you a very specific question about where you think all this is moving to this generation of Marvel films. Dave, I don't think I could agree more. I don't think I had as many problems with it maybe as either of you, because as much respect as I have for this entire franchise, I don't want to repeat myself. I've done this so many times in these episodes. I just don't care that much anymore. And I think that's the right word to use, because I'm not going in there with any judgment or anything. I just don't really have a lot invested anymore. So I don't think I was as disappointed as maybe people who wanted a better movie or were more excited for where this might be going into with the multiverse.
To defend what you're saying, I don't think they do any either. Like if what I got from this was
you
anything.
think so?
Yeah, no.
You know what? It was like it felt as we've talked about before with some franchises. These movies are starting to feel so episodic and not anthological. Is that a word? Anthology? Like the first two parts, leading up to Endgame, that felt like it was building this anthology toward that thing. And these just don't anymore. I've said that with all of these now, and I'm sorry to keep repeating myself with the Sony Marvels and now the main Marvels. It just feels so episodic that I think we can very clearly and cleanly say, if you are not a hardcore Marvel fan, you don't ever need to see a Marvel movie again. I'm sorry, but I think that's kind of where it's come to.
I feel like it does kind of feel like they peaked at the Russos, to be honest.
It does, man. It really is. Also, a shame. Whatever. It is a shame. It isn't a shame. the visual effects, are still fun. I love Cumberbatch.
Don't get me wrong. It's a great film. It just wasn't a spectacular film as promised.
And
everything's
the whole
there.
The whole deal with the we're going to do different genres now. This one's going to be a horror movie. Yeah, totally. I'll agree with you guys. There were some horrific elements. The tunnel scene at the bottom, when she was kind of chasing them, there was a minute and a half sequence there that felt very horrific, like classic horror movie zombie person chasing us.
Without getting it into too much, do you feel like they've shut out some of their audience with this one, like because of that? Because
it feels Game of Thrones. It feels like they're playing to the center a little too much.
It used to be like obscure deaths and that sort of thing, and there was fucking wholesale slaughter in this.
There was quite a bit of slaughter. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of am, because I don't care, and I didn't care where they were going to go with the multiverse. I kind of liked the brutal deaths in the middle that we'll talk about at some point later on in spoilers.
Me too. The mouth closed death was my favorite part of the whole
pretty
film.
Cool. I mean, that was funny, and I was like, "Ooh, Marvel's doing something different." But again, I guess I just don't care too much. Now, in spite of what me saying, I don't care too much. The third act of this movie really let me down, Jeff. If we're going to talk about the third act, when something happens that takes him into a different place and just for no reason at all, they introduce voice actors and these goblins and demons in the air. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it really lost me at that point. It felt like I was watching like a cartoon and not in a flattering way. Like, it kind of turned into a slightly different movie. And when that resolved, and we'll talk about it more, when it resolves and it goes into the final couple sequences, it was pretty cool to see how they resolved it. And it gave him this ability that he didn't have before. But ultimately, I think my big issue with Doctor Strange in the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe as a character is that with every movie, and because I didn't know anything about him when they introduced him, I didn't follow the comic books as a kid. So as they have built him up throughout movies and cameos and stuff, he's often given more and more and more status, which is cool. But what happens when you have the ultimate status is the Superman dilemma. he's kind of not very flawed, or I don't care about his flaws very much because he's so powerful. And I think that they kind of fell into that trap where like, I didn't care at all about his plot line with his girl. And I didn't care at all because he's not even a human to me anymore, which is, you know what? Even though Thor's a fucking god, I'll drink to that. I'll drink to that. Even though Thor's a fucking god, I think his humor and the way they write him gives him a little bit more of a familial context to his friends and his co-warriors and Natalie Portman's character. I don't know.
That's the thing. Thor,
does that resonate with y'all at all?
It does, because until they started writing Thor like that, he wasn't popular at all.
Sure.
So this is, I have so many things I want to say. So you know what? I'll just to the Thor point. No, because I'll go into the spoilers because I didn't love it either. But I'm going to try to be positive here and then send people on their way. And if they want to stick around,
don't try too hard. Tell us how you feel.
No. And I definitely will. But to your Thor point, I've been thinking so much about all of the superheroes because this is how I saw the movie. I finished Moon Knight on Wednesday, and I'm not going to spoil Moon Knight, but I finished it on Wednesday. Thursday, I rented Spider-Man: Far From Home, which I'd been planning on doing for a while because if you've been following our podcast, I did not see it in the theaters because it was my finals week at school, and then I got COVID the next week.
No Way Home?
I know. No Way Home.
Yeah.
Whatever I said. No Way Home. I don't care.
The most recent one?
The most recent. Yeah. Okay. Triple Spidey.
Oh, that one bothered me.
And then I saw this on Friday. So I to be honest with you, I came in with baggage, and so I have to admit that. But to your Thor point, I've been thinking about all the superheroes. Well, because the Peter Parker with great power comes great responsibility line, that famous line, it was a really big point in this No Way Home thing because everything's about fucking trauma now with them, because for a while it was this morality issue. It was like, well, by trying to solve the problem, do you become the problem? You know,
the Avengers dilemma that they kept exploring in the first couple
for everybody, and whether your gift, whether your power is physical like Superman or whatever, or if it's financial like Batman or Iron Man, whatever it is, that like
Jeff just mentioned one Marvel character in all of his 3 examples.
Well, okay, fine, okay. Well, Moon Knight's a trauma off.
Yep.
I guess he has there's that. Spider-Man, fine. Sony, Marvel, even Venom, fine. But it doesn't matter. Thor has like that strength thing. And Thor, to your point, Dave, the best thing that happened to Thor is that second Thor movie, because it's like a sitcom. Go back and watch the first season of The Office, and it's fucking awkward. It's really weird. It's lit poorly. They're overweight.
Thor movie?
That's right. And because they said, well, what are the good parts of Thor? And they fucking tripled down on them. This movie is so much better for Wanda Maximoff than it is
Thor
for
movie?
No, I think he's saying because
Thor Dark World, because it was so
failed.
bad. Because it was so bad, they were like, well, what the fuck are we going to do with this character? And they said, well, let's make him fun. Let's just double, triple,
okay, now I get your point. Now I get your. That needed clarification because holy shit.
And that was so good that it made Loki really fun. And Loki so far is the best multiverse movie out of all of them. So the best canon multiverse thing yet. And it didn't even follow it through, but like that's just my opinion. But with Doctor Strange, I didn't. The Wanda stuff was way more interesting to me. But the problem with that is we just fucking saw WandaVision. So I know that this is marketing people, and I know, Dave, you hate it when I read things from marketing people and then let it influence my conversation in any way, shape, or form. But I'm on Metacritic right now, and the summary it says is Doctor Strange faces a mysterious new adversary. This adversary is not new. And it's not mysterious.
It is for the first 20 minutes, which is pretty much what most of the footage from the trailers is from, except for a few select bits. But yeah.
Fine, but like I guess that's a misdirect because the truth is
half this movie was a misdirect.
New or mysterious about this. So what they do is, so this is my ultimate point, is they need to humanize these characters, but the morality is gone at this point. And it's very situational. If the plot of this movie is A to B to C to D, there's no one thing. And if the one thing is Doctor Strange opened the multiverse and he feels bad about it, then it's just Fantastic Beasts where Eddie Redmayne lost a bunch of animals and he has to collect them. And this, okay, he opened up the portal and now there's a person who can jump in and out. He's got to close the portal. Whatever his issue is with this movie. The plot was, I need to go to Asia. Okay, I'm in Asia. she's going to come here and she's going to take the book to get that spell. Guess what the next scene is? Her coming there and trying to take the book. Okay, well then if she has this book, then we need to go to, and it's just blah 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 blah, and they just explain every time.
You are so good.
Every time they get to a new point, they just explain where they are. They said, okay, we're here because the old Doctor Strange did this. Oh, okay, well what do we do next? You need to do this, and then they do that. So there's nothing throughout the movie that I'm like, well, like, what's going to happen at the end? Except we probably know that she's going to try to, again, the Wanda Maximoff story is interesting because yes, she wants to be with her
also,
kid. I just watched a fucking full series of her fucking trauma.
Yeah.
But okay, we're going to relive her trauma all over again. And so Doctor Strange can't compete with that trauma. So we throw in some love trauma, which they half-assed. That wedding sequence was a joke.
I felt like it was
anyway,
Doctor
so
Strange featuring WandaVision season 2, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they
Which
did.
also
The
kinda
Boba
like-
Fett thing.
I'm also thinking like there's got to be some like
I'm going to
some
get hold of
people who
the.
care about this kind of thing that are like, why is Scarlet Witch not in the title of this movie?
I haven't read.
Why isn't it Doctor Strange versus Scarlet Witch?
Yeah. I haven't read. Well, Multiverse of Madness is an actual comic book line, and I haven't read it, so I want to find it and read that and find out how much of that story they butchered or used in like this movie, because the poster design is exactly the same as the cover of the comic. So they were hard references there. And also, in reference to the we have to go and find this book, I just want to say that very, very secret hiding place that he had for that book was awfully fucking accessible to like everyone.
I mean,
all right, let's go to spoilers because I don't want to forget.
Spoilers.
These are these two things that I wanted to ask you guys, and Jeff, you already kind of tapped into it naturally, so I want to begin.
I was gonna say the good things, and I couldn't fucking help
No,
myself.
no. I kind of want to pick it apart even more.
The best sequence is when they go through all of the multiverses in that one fall. That was
I'm
such
sorry.
an amazing sequence.
I'm sorry. I'm going on record. But Everything Everywhere All at Once did it better.
All right, that's
For
fair.
fucking sure, dude. Absolutely,
right.
I completely agree. So we're going into spoilers, folks.
I will say before you go,
week.
like, you'll have fun. Like, but
Yeah.
just
Of
I would
course,
say lower
always.
your expectations. All the things that they've led you to believe in the trailers and everything you read on the internet, wipe that from your mind. Go in, and you'll probably really enjoy this.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
all right, I'm a little mixed because I agree with you, and
yeah.
I have the lowest expectations. That we're in the spoiler section now, folks.
spoilers are on. Spoilers are on.
I have the lowest expectations, and I think I still could see someone even with low expectations just beginning to, the fuse is dying off, the fire is leaving, the smoke is settling. You know, it's like, it just doesn't feel like it's there. So I want to start with, Jeff, what you were just saying, since you were speaking more recently. They introduced an incredible opportunity to have an enormous amount of internal conflict for Doctor Strange. In the first minute of this movie, you see this opening, whether or not we like structurally if it belongs there. It opens with him. You can pick up on it pretty clearly. So there's another dimension, and he tries to take this girl's power from her because he thinks he can wield it better than her, and he needs to protect that power from this ultimate evil, force, which we learn is the Scarlet Witch. So they start to play with that, and it does build to a scene at the very end where you're like, okay, give me a break. He's going to go over there and he's not going to take her power. He's going to build her up somehow. Or I thought he might even give his power to her. But anyway, it turns into one of those things where you kind of know where it's going.
Cool. That could have been cool.
Could have been cool. But they didn't do the character analysis, the internal analysis. They didn't have him questioning it enough. He only questioned that internal conflict when he saw himself doing it in front of other people. So like every now and then he would make a comment about her power or something, and he would notice that her or somebody around him was like, Doctor Strange, don't you do it. And he would be like, oh yeah, I'll acknowledge it, that people think I'm the guy with the ego that would do something like that. But they didn't really go inside and try to figure out like why, which if we're going to follow the chemistry and the success of the formulas that made these modern superhero movies so popular, it's because they were so shameless about internal character conflict. That's why we cared about all those people. It's why. It's
almost like they went, no one's going to care about it, especially with this Illuminati scene in the middle. And we'll get to that in a minute because I have beef with that.
Or they thought that Stephen Strange isn't that kind of character. Like maybe there's a Marvel truth to that I just don't know. But again, I would still argue nobody cares about that anymore. That precedent has been removed. The comic books don't deal with that stuff as much as these modern movies have anyway. So we're in a new landscape where you want to get a mass audience to care about people with capes. You got to let us think of them as human beings that are struggling with stuff that we struggle with. That's how it works.
Yeah. I mean, even if you want to pull off one of the cheesiest lines of all time, which is two world-renowned surgeons, and one of them says, "You always have to be the one holding the knife." I spent a lot of time with surgeons, and they really don't want to. They would never say something like
Not
that,
much
which is
knife
fine.
talk.
No, but these kinds of things they happen in comic books. That's fine. But you got to give us some circumstances. He walks out of that. They're at the wedding, but it looks like a fucking happy hour. Like they're at this wedding and they're like, it never would have worked between us. Why? Because you always had to hold the knife. It's at her wedding. Like we need to believe that this could be the last time they ever see each other or something.
And also,
and
like
I just,
the guy that sits down next to him at the wedding, and there's this one little thing about
Michael Stuhlbarg. He's like a top bill, and he had one scene.
Like what was the point of that? Was he under contract or something to appear in 3 movies?
I wanted to ask you because I haven't watched all the TV series. Has he never occurred before? He's never been in the world before?
A first movie.
Yeah, he's in the first movie.
He was in the first movie. Oh, shit. I saw the first movie. I don't remember him in that.
Exactly.
Was he only... Because
it's been so fucking long.
That movie,
but yeah.
That movie gets him to Asian Tilda Swinton so fast. I mean, like, the first, 10 minutes, he's like, world-renowned surgeon, doing this, blah, blah, blah. Car race, accident, he might die, he needs Eastern medicine to solve himself. So was he in that first sequence? Like, I don't remember him.
I think he was the other arguing surgeon in the...
All right, Dave, so let me ask you... Dave, let me ask you... I'm getting to my big question in a second, but let me ask you my first Stephen Strange origin question. As far as you know, every one of these big superheroes, especially the ones that have a lot of ego, that's an archetype of a superhero, the really egotistical, smart man. Like they use that a lot in Marvel. And they use it in DC sometimes.
He was a great supporting character in the Avengers because of that ego. Like he could come in 3 lines.
It was a fun foil, but also he was always in context to like really fun-loving, egotistical people like Tony Stark, and it was really fun. And the sweet softness of Mark Ruffalo's what's Banner, Bruce Banner. So in terms of conflict in Stephen Strange's life. I know it's DC, but Batman has a woman and he has something that's very personal to him. Tony Stark has I'm dying and that scares me. And they did a really good job of that. That like he's scared of dying and he's scared of what he doesn't understand. And he had Pepper. I wouldn't say she was as strong. They built her up over the movies, but he had 2. Does Stephen Strange have something other than Rachel? Was that her name?
Well, and
Rachel McAdams. What's her fucking surgeon's name?
Christine Palmer. Dr. Christine Palmer.
Does he have a personal internal conflict? Because I didn't see it in either of these movies.
Well, that's the thing. He kind of becomes Sorcerer Supreme pretty fast.
Right.
And in this, where it kind of a little off book there, because I don't think it ever goes to Wong.
So unlike every other superhero, I'm just trying to understand like why I'm so frustrated with him as a character. Is that
it's because they're skipping development is why you're so frustrated, because he's like this and then all of a sudden he's like this and then he's the Sorcerer Supreme, then he gets blipped away so Wong gets Sorcerer Supreme, but he comes back and he's still acting like Sorcerer Supreme. Suddenly he's got all these extra powers, but there was no development in there and he's acting a certain way.
But there's also no what's the classic superhero the necessity is that they do have some kind of trauma that they can't escape.
For instance,
his injury, it's years in the past.
Trauma.
These
are the Marvel movies now. Trauma.
I'm just saying, it works when it works, and we don't ever mind it when it works, even if we've heard that same fucking Batman, my parents died, Spider-Man, Uncle Ben. Doctor Strange never has to deal with some emotional or sensory recall of his syndrome or whatever he had, his injuries.
Yeah, why did they lean more into the accident where like he almost lost everything? Like why
they never talk about it. It never comes up.
Yeah,
he doesn't deal with it.
That was his inciting incident, really. That was it.
Right.
But
he never had a conflict, did he? He never had one before that.
I mean, I can tell you where they're going. There's going to be conflict. But
all right, so that's my next question. So I kind of want you to just wax for a little bit on. Please help me out. I've talked to you so many times. Everybody's heard this podcast. Where are they going? Do you think they're going somewhere like they were going somewhere in the first 2 or 3 cycles towards Thanos in the end game? And why is somebody like me struggling so much to either see or care about where they're going?
Well, they've been talking so much about Kang the Conqueror. And as far as I can tell, where they're heading doesn't.
Where? I haven't heard that.
All the media has been talking about this guy, Kang the Conqueror, and the guy who was at the end of He Who Remains at the end of the series Loki was one of the multiverse incarnations of
I haven't seen that yet.
of Kang.
Okay.
But that's the guy who's playing Kang, and he's meant to be another big bad like Thanos. But where they're going, they're heading more into like Mephisto territory. So, like, we're talking big red fucking demon, because the first after credit scene, where, and I actually, that's the two times in that movie I leant out of my chair and went, oh fuck, because, and it was quick and throwaway, but like they've introduced Clea, which is a love interest, and also introduces it introduces other characters like Satana, Mephisto, all that sort of thing. Like, so they're probably heading down that epic dark route.
Good.
And this is all like mystic multiverse stuff. Like, I just can't get a grip on what's happening with what they're. I have no idea what's happening anymore.
I feel like they went, okay, Spider-Man animated did it, so we're going to open this up before they get away with it, like they run away with it. So they rush. I feel like they rushed the multiverse a little bit, because like the multiverse, like I said in the intro to this show, they went to two fucking multiverse. Like it wasn't the multiverse, it was the other verse. They only went to two places.
There were two others. You're right.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask you. It's like they literally put that montage in so that they could say, "Okay, Fia, we've been to them all." Also, wait, I'm going to ask. This is going to sound like a joke question, but it's a serious question. Did Spider-Man Into the Multiverse being the best Marvel characters movie, I think, of all time, and that's a very strong opinion, I know, but Spider-Man Into the Multiverse is so fucking good, and it is so well done. Is that a shadow looming over this? Is that part of the reason that
you're talking about No Way Home?
No, he's talking about the
Spider-Man,
animated.
The animated Into the Multiverse. Now I know No Way Home.
I've never seen.
You should see
No Way
that.
Home,
you should definitely see that.
No Way Home
they
stays on Earth.
invented an animation style for that movie. It's spectacular.
Yeah, and the different characters have completely different movement styles, and we haven't figured it out in practical yet. So like Spider-Man No Way Home opens the multiverse, but they bring everything here.
Yeah,
the same way that all the Avengers movies have brought everything
the one that
here.
the cool. I did see it. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was awesome. I forgot it was called No Way.
It's incredible. Into the Multiverse. So like, I'm wondering.
Okay, so
in this movie, I wish they did
hold on.
more.
John, I need to explain to John. We've got Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Far From Home. They're all the Spider-Man ones, like the live action, and then you've got the animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse, thank you. I was like, Multiverse was.
Sorry, I said Into the Multiverse.
Okay,
the sequel's coming out, and the sequel's the sequel looks good with Miles Morales as the lead.
Yeah. Phil Lord.
Okay, so sorry,
Dave.
And it's like, for fuck's sake, give us Miles.
This episode is turning into a what's going on with Marvel, so that's just how we're gonna have to bill it. So let's lean into it. Is that a shadow that's hanging over this, Dave? Do you think?
I think so. I mean, I think they certainly felt the pressure given how successful this was. So it, like, the WandaVision had promise because that opened up certain things, and that was the lead in to this, obviously, because like that was one of the things I really liked. It was the other moment I leant forward in my chair, because when she's just walking around, she's like, "Oh, you should bring America here," and then you see Doctor Strange like step back, and I was like, "Did they just fuck up?"
That was great. That was
like,
really
that was
good. Sam
well
Raimi
written,
stuff.
well directed, everything, and then she revealed that the whole thing, was an illusion, and she's not.
And
she's
then
not
cheesy,
doing
like,
well.
Be cheesy like a superhero movie and say, "You never said her name." No. And then it's like, we know, now we all know, like we're all on the same page. Like that is textbook how you pull off bringing humanizing something that's obviously kind of cheesy in theory, and then
Actually,
letting the universe turn into it. I thought that was really well done.
Compliment her earlier, but like the girl playing America, and I say that because I haven't got a hope in hell of pronouncing her name. But
it's like
Xochitl. She was amazing to me, and it's like when she calls him out, he's like, "Oh wait, you went to someone who is actually the person who's looking for me and told them exactly where to find me." It's like, you fucking moron.
Yep.
And she did good because I know there's a lot of representation things that are very important in this.
I was waiting.
She was a prop in this movie. She could have been an idol.
Way much better. She had so many moments, but she could have been utilized so much better. Everyone could have been utilized so much better.
Luckily, those moments counted. But when the climax of this movie is Doctor Strange going, "Wait, I did the math on this just like Endgame, and I figured out the solution." You actually can control your powers.
That was ridiculous.
And that was the
dude.
climax of this movie. I was
It
like,
was-
Thank
holy
you.
shit.
All right.
It was
I have been
Dumbo.
waiting to come here.
It was
I have been
Dumbo.
waiting to get to this point. You guys, he literally just gave her like a
Get out
a
of here with
minute
that. It
long-
was Dumbo.
He gave her a pep talk. And then
That's
she,
it.
I hate it when
Not
they do
even
that
a
in
good
superhero
pep talk,
movies.
because he didn't even say like, "I promise you, you can do this. You're the best I've seen it." What he said was, "No,
Help me
no,
out.
no, no. Stop complaining. Just do it." That's what he
Help
said.
me
need
out
the,
here.
no, you
How
don't need the
on
feather.
earth-
You've had the power all along.
How
That
on-
was tough for
honestly,
me.
How on earth or that other universe, whatever, did they not bring her parents back to give her the obstacle she needed to try to overcome her
Because
fear?
all
and
they
use
care
that
about
to-
is the trauma. The 7 seconds. Why did she step on the thing in the first place? There's a lot of conveniences. in
let's
this movie.
also bring that-
She
I just
steps
wanna
on
bring
the
that
thing,
up.
And then it just so happens that the 7 seconds we see of her parents are not only the first time she uses her power, but it ends up killing her parents. And so the entire superhero conundrum is in a 7-second window. Just like that, it's told to us, but we do see it, and then we leave it, and then she doesn't matter anymore until the end of the movie.
Why?
It's like,
Who the
which
fuck?
is-
Who the fuck would
that
invent
deserved
those?
its own movie.
What are they
Or-
doing
or-
on the street?
And
like-
can everybody see
Yes,
it too? I was
everyone
like,
can
is
see
everybody
it.
watching
She
this?
she saw his stuff. He saw
It
hers.
reminded me of
like
the,
what
it
the fuck?
reminded me
Who
of the,
designs that?
In
I mean, we
Harry
know,
Potter,
but
what
yeah.
are the things? What are the scary things that come out to you in that class, and everyone sees your fear in Harry Potter?
the boggart, boggle, the
Yeah,
boggart,
the
boggart.
it's just a boggart.
Hmm.
But this was not a safe
Boggart.
space. This was a fucking public
It was
street.
it was a mall.
You know what? I couldn't stop
I'm
thinking
gonna get into
about with her
Westfield and have my
character?
childhood trauma aired for everyone.
Also, this happened at the wedding. Remember,
No.
they ruined the wedding in this movie. He ruined the wedding by going out and saving all of these people. But it was like, yeah, fuck it, that wedding didn't matter
Yeah.
anyway. Like, he
I love how
ruined their fucking
not
wedding.
not scared everybody at the
Anyway.
wedding was about that attack that was happening.
Like,
to
oh
them.
my
they've-
god, it
they've
was right
been through a
outside.
couple.
This is awesome.
They've been through a couple.
Like
Right
taking
outside.
shows.
They were all watching it. And they're
That's
like, huh, this is at
Do
my
you remember
wedding.
the
Okay, sorry,
Avengers
John.
movie?
What were you gonna-
Fuck.
I know. She kept reminding me of, and you know what? I don't want to make like a. We weren't in the writers' room. We don't know what happened, but it did feel to me like this was a shallow attempt at representation and trying to, in their desperate attempt to try to give fun representation. Again, the actors did a great job. They were trying to say, well, let's throw some breadcrumbs in there to give her some more weight, to try to give her a character context. And you know what I kept thinking about, just as a foil to that I thought was way more successful in just getting me to care and to have some intrigue, was the young girl in Wolverine at the very
Oh
end.
my god, yeah, she was
Right?
so good.
The
Yeah,
mystery,
yeah, yeah.
the mystique, and yet we understood the parallels, which she has parallels
Yeah.
to Strange. So like there was so much there, and it made me sit closer. I cared so much about her, and it made me like think of all of the father-daughter context, which I think they were trying to create here a little bit as well. And because they were so upfront in my face representational with their writing, it felt cheap, it felt shallow, and I ended up not really caring about her very much. And I'm sorry to say
You know-
that because
you
I
know
think
what I
she's
think?
a
I
perfectly
buzzed you, but you're
talented
right.
actor.
You know what I think? And this is positive in the sense that they didn't do this in the movie, but I'm gonna give them a shout out anyway. I wish I hadn't seen WandaVision, because that would have made this movie better. The fact that
Yeah.
WandaVision existed, they should not have given Scarlet Witch so much screen time. They should have really let this be exactly like you're saying, John, like Logan, except he lives at the end. And
Logan,
let
thank
the
you,
two,
Logan, my bad.
and let the two of them develop that. And we know that Scarlet Witch is looming, and we know her power, because that whole sequence she did, even though I don't like that she can just reach through water, because water also reflects.
What the fuck
I kinda
was
think
that?
that's bullshit.
Yeah,
Well, that's,
what's
okay,
that?
wait, no. But just like, okay, the House of Mirrors things was so good.
going
Yeah,
down.
okay. Hold on.
No, that was a good call.
Okay, that was stupid though, because the rest of it was so great. The way that she's on the outside, and then there's a shield, and the way she gets in is by telling, she has like she can read minds, she can speak to people's minds, so she says run, and the guy runs, and it fucks the shield up. Like, that was all done so well. I don't need to see her fucking kids all the time. I know her trauma.
Yeah,
I
it's
just sat through
not-
fucking 8
not like
episodes of her
the- not
trauma.
like
I
the,
know her trauma. I don't need her to remind me that she shot her lover in the head. He died fucking twice in the same movie. We had a whole series where she talked about it over and over again. I don't need her. What I need is Doctor Strange to matter. I need his moral conundrum. I need her to be both the problem and the solution. And that's it. That's literally all I need. You start throwing these other things in, like the Illuminati. They don't need these
That was fucking
things.
cheap.
What was that?
It's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid because they realize there's a leak and there's bleeding and they need to stop the bleeding. And rather than attack the problem, they put a Band-Aid over it by throwing the Illuminati.
That was fan service. That was absolute fan service. And that was...
It wasn't because everybody laughed. Everybody in my theater was laughing and not with it. Every time John Krasinski's face is on the screen, my theater was fucking hysterically
my theater went nuts when he popped in. He looked great.
Well,
he looked great as Reed Richards.
I'm hooting and hollering.
But the thing
I saw it outside of the city. People were like, "Oh my god, it's Jim," and I like him.
The thing is,
the Corvette for Professor X. It's like, come on.
Well, he ends up in that. That's an actual, like, literally the chair that he ends up in.
The reveal was asking us to laugh at a moment that should have been serious.
But also, you've got, like, I love that. I do like that they brought back Anson Mount as Black Bolt.
Me too.
Mainly from the failed Inhumans series that lasted a season. And it did not do well. And he was brought back as Black Bolt for a cameo. But then they introduced all of these wonderful characters and then one by one systematically fucking slaughtered them. And it was kind of like, it was almost like you haven't seen something like that since Rian Johnson.
I thought Rian Johnson during this too. Where you could just transcendental meditation
because
your way into any solution.
Everyone has been clamoring. The most fan requested casting for Fantastic Four is John Krasinski as Reed Richards, and they handed it to him and then fucking shredded him like a cheese grater.
And guess what? The trauma off happens. I know what you're going through, Wanda. I have 2 children. I'm so sorry. Wait a second. Are your 2 children alive? Then you don't know what she's going through.
She literally says that. Is their mother alive? Good.
What is up with Marvel thinking that love and trauma, all you need to do is love and trauma and we'll forgive all the bullshit. In fucking Spider-Man No Way Home, whatever. That you have the guy he basically clinks his heels 3 times and says there's no place like home. And then Peter Parker appears. Well, because he's smart and he can go to MIT. He can just traverse the multiverse. They're breaking their own rules. It's making me angry. Just have some rules, have some parameters, have some class. I want to see these characters. I want to see these characters so bad. And you're right, John. I should lower my. I don't know why I haven't learned, but I keep watching these TV shows and they keep getting me hooked and then disappointing me. And this movie, all these movies are doing this to me too.
Yeah, I told you I stopped watching the TV shows.
Don't break your rules. I'm not going to apologize for being angry if you keep breaking your fucking rules.
That's fair. Yeah, like I said, the whole Illuminati thing to me was almost felt like it was included just to get bums on seats.
Did it though? They were in advertising.
No, they absolutely were. You got Patrick Stewart's hand and then his voice in the trailer. You got him gliding along his thing.
Was in the trailer.
They showed Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel in the trailer full. Like that started an internet debate to end all fucking internet debates. They were like, "That's Tom Cruise," at one point as Iron Man. Like there was so many fucking theories flying around. They dropped this thing, generated their own publicity for months, but then they don't seem to realize that everyone goes and sees that, and they were like, "Oh, that was nothing like what I talked about or what I wanted to happen, what I built up in my mind from the seed that you put there, and now I resent you." And that's what I saw. Yeah, I saw a whole heap of Marvel fandom start to sound like toxic Star Wars fans as I was coming out of my theater, and that's a dangerous place to be if you're building a franchise.
Yeah. There's a little bit of me that I agree with you. It turned out to just be a catalyst sequence, and it was just they were just using them to get to it, probably for promotion. You're right, just so people could kind of hear about it. But there was a little bit of me as someone who doesn't really care.
Who's going to be in this movie? Who's going to be in the movie?
There's a piece of me as someone who doesn't really care about any of this that was like, yeah, fucking kill him. I was kind of excited to watch him just get brutally murdered.
When they're like, we're gonna try Doctor Strange. I'm like, guys, we've got like 45 minutes to go. You're not gonna kill him, all right? So like, I hope you die.
My least favorite part of this movie, and you know what, Sam Raimi, dude, if you had made this movie in a vacuum and we had not seen any other Marvel movies, I may have enjoyed this.
WandaVision didn't exist, then it would have been great.
That's a good point.
If it was a co-lead,
you know what, WandaVision could have existed, but keep Scarlet Witch hidden. Until have her help, whatever, but just keep her motivations secret till the third act.
Yeah, have Wanda help and then bait and switch like fucking.
There's nothing. Yeah. I'll make this point and then I'll say that my least favorite part of this is probably the 7th out of 8 sequences in these 3 acts. So at the beginning of the 3rd act, this thing happens where Doctor Strange gives a fun call back and he's like, they establish this thing called dream walking, which is whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's cool. And we got on board with it. We knew what it was at this point. We figured he would use it at one point. And it is playing into his internal conflict a little bit. So I was like, okay, maybe they're going to go there again. And this is going to create something moral and, not tangible, not physical. But they didn't. They made it physical and external. And he chooses to dream walk from another universe into his dead body that he had buried from another universe in our universe. That's right, folks.
Everybody got a slide reel? Yeah.
yeah. So he inhabits this fucking dead corpse. And you're like, whatever, that's fun.
Take
Sam
a
Raimi,
fucking abacus
let's
to this
do it.
movie.
Meditate harder. That's the solution.
So he does it, and I was like, let's go. And then this is just filmmaking and execution. So Sam, I'm coming after you. I'm sorry, bro. The voiceover stuff for all these demons that were, he called them a name, but I can't remember what they're called. The souls of the damned or whatever. When they started like coming after him, I was like, what is happening? I stopped taking it seriously at all. They're Marvel movies, but I did check out at that point. I was like, this is stupid.
I had already checked out by that point, Connor. I was just like, what are we going to see next?
Now, he brings it back, and he is very, very, very simply, apparently in this movie, all you need to do is to tell someone sincerely that they can do what they've set out to do, because Rachel McAdams says to him, you're a mystic. Use the spirits. Like the smartest man in the history of the universe didn't think about that when he was struggling with it a second ago.
Oh my God, I ran 7,000 calculations, but I forgot that one.
I forgot that one. Yeah, I literally ran whatever the fuck that number is in game that he runs. So he uses them, turns it into a cape. Pretty cool. That's fun. Whatever. I was kind of excited to see that.
I didn't know the magic carpet from Aladdin was in this. I forgot about that with Doctor Strange.
I thought that was fun.
All going
they did
down
that
for
thing.
this.
But then, you guys, damn, I forgot what my second point was going to be. But at the end of this movie, somebody help me out here. Why did they do the third eye? Like, who gives a fuck?
That's
like,
the thing.
Is that guy slide in? Like, is it him again? Like, what is happening?
No, that's a side effect of using the Darkhold. Then that is an actual like Doctor Strange plotline.
Okay.
He has a venom attachment. I'm getting
I also
you guys
like. I just want to say, what a waste, because a lot of people are walking out going, so is that it for Scarlet Witch? Is she dead? Like, are they done? And I was
is
like,
she dead?
No, I don't think so. But
no.
Yeah.
No, I think they gave us a good visual cue.
That last one was
little...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, she's not dead.
So I'm fine with that.
Like,
but Dave, dude, you made a good point that if she had been less advertised, because I don't know anything about the Scarlet Witch. I'm totally blind to all this stuff. I remember WandaVision, and I know what you're talking about. They so strongly established that transition that I think this movie kind of made us question whether or not we all watched her be cleanly established as the Scarlet Witch. They kind of introduced Scarlet Witch, I'll come for you tonight, as the Scarlet Witch. We were like, who are you already? We already know you're the Scarlet Witch. Who are you introducing yourself to? The whole world saw you do that already.
Yeah,
S.H.I.E.L.D. documented it.
I mean, at this point, she was kind of fighting herself. It was like I've been like the whole thing about I'm being reasonable, and I'm being reasonable. That was a good thing. Like that was a good character thing, because that was her being reasonable. That fucking door. How did she get around that door? I just want to say, like, what, like,
the door?
Yeah, we're just that
was very Sam Raimi.
Yeah, she's punching away through everything else, and then all of a sudden, it's like deadites appear out of the fucking.
I don't know. Was it the reflections and the water?
The door might have been wet. Yeah.
Why did they stop running and turn around and go for close-ups?
I mean, I guess at that point, it's a horror movie. They have to stop.
Honestly, that really was. I will say, I'm just going to take a giant step back as somebody who was kind of like, all right, let's see what you got when you start to announce that we're going to play with genre. And they said this was going to be their horror movie. there was very little horrific storytelling used. There were moments, maybe even a small sequence. But I didn't feel like it was like overwhelmingly a different vibe than the other Marvel movies.
I totally felt this was a different vibe. This was like a snap to the right.
It felt like a different.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me correct myself. God damn it, Sam Raimi. I like you a lot, dude. I'm sorry. I don't want to pick on you, but I did think about this when I left the theater. I said to myself, if this was the first Marvel movie, if this was like their Iron Man, they would not have succeeded. There was something. This felt like a genre horror. This felt like no. It just felt like this was a movie for comic book fans. This is not a movie to welcome fans who aren't comic book fans into the theater for the beginning of a giant epic ride.
Yeah,
it felt like it was made for people who already know everything about these characters. And I'm not one of them, so I never felt included. I just didn't. I felt like I was watching something from a distance and waiting for them to kill each other.
The thing is, I am, and I felt that way too.
I think
Did you really?
I walked out of that movie and I was like, okay. And I got home and my wife asked me, how was the movie? And I was like, yeah, it was all right. She's like,
you're the Pete Davidson character. You're the Pete Davidson character from SNL.
Chad.
Chad. You're David Chad. I thought the same thing. Well, you open the movie, you set tone. And so they open with a dream sequence, spoiler, and it's fun. And it's in the middle of nowhere. And then he wakes up, fine. But so you have two options there. You either pretend like it's not a horror movie and then the horror just happens, or you open the dream sequence as a complete horror sequence and set the tone. And they didn't do either of that. And because then later, there were horror elements, but there were it was not a horror movie. The second half of this movie is not a horror movie. It was, you know what I mean? It was horror elements, but it was
like
it was
the
pretty
chase
cheesy,
through the tunnels
lovey.
was horror, and I would say her destroying the fuck out of the Illuminati was a touch on horror.
I mean, they filmed the confrontation, the Doctor Strange v. Doctor Strange confrontation. They filmed that like a horror movie, but
it wasn't. That was almost
it wasn't
comical.
Scary.
Yeah.
We knew it was.
That was like Evil Dead 2 horror.
It was like Resident Evil.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm not going to tell.
I think we have nailed our ultimate problem is that Doctor Strange is a flawed character. Sadly, he is a catalyst character. He was very useful. Because when they introduced him in the first movie, I'm sorry, but I just didn't care about his first movie. It was one of the first Marvel movies in that, 2 or 3 generations that I was like, I just don't know if it matters that much, but I loved how they used him in context of the Avengers stories. I thought it was very useful.
It was essential for the Avengers.
Completely essential. And it was fun watching him take on status as the person who I don't want to invest a lot of protagonist time in, but he creates a lot of fun dilemmas for our protagonists. Right? Yeah. Like we thought Tony Stark knew everything until Stephen Strange stepped in and had already solved the problems of the future. We were like, oh shit. It created such a fun dilemma for the people we were trying to see the movies through.
Don't get me wrong. I do like that there are some people holding his decisions against him. And I did like a little bit of that development. It's like you're not the one who should make all the decisions. Yeah. Like you don't know everything.
I hope
so. It didn't matter because he never said that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like more than anything else. Sorry, I gave up on Doctor Strange. I know that you have your ideas, but I just hope that America gets her own series. I don't think she does. I don't know if a movie is called for after this, but
no, I feel like she'll be.
I feel
like they're going to do Young Avengers, and she'll be thrown in there.
The Young Avengers.
She should be the lead of it because it's great. Yeah.
Avengers.
She really was. So I want to be clear. We said this before, so hopefully we don't get roasted online and people say the things that they've said to us in the past about before, because we always follow through. Is she was a prop by the writers, but what she stands for really does matter. Yeah. The fact that she has this power, that she can go back and forth, that she is naive and ignorant to it, that she has to discover it for herself, and then she has to utilize it and know that it's something that she can do, but she shouldn't. All of these morality issues are perfect in this world. And so I hope that it gets the time, and it's not, how do we help Doctor Strange beat Wanda Maximoff?
Well, there's also the thing of, it's like the only thing holding you back from your power is doubt as well. That was a great development for her.
But honestly, it turned into Signs at the end, where it was like, "Oh my god, just swing the bat," and it's like, okay,
they did not handle this well at all. Almost every single character, like America was underutilized. The entire Illuminati that they threw in there was underutilized. They for the amount of time they got promoted, it was like you didn't know how to use any of these characters. So
it was weird. This is my pitch. This is my pitch to Mr. Kevin, Mr. Feige at the top. Take 5 years off. Press pause. Press
Thor's
pause.
Coming out in like a fucking week.
You have things in the can. You can feel free to release them, but just stop for a moment. Create a little bit of exclusivity. Hit the brakes. Take a step back, and you guys need to ask yourself, what are we doing next? And how can we make people excited about being away from our characters for a little bit? Because we have very organically pointed out a few problems that we just discovered through conversation by realizing that there's too much content informing the other content. So I feel like they're not being selective enough. And it's turning into this thing where it's just this giant hogwash of content and characters, and we don't really have a chance to miss them, and we don't really have a chance to create status around certain characters because they're all commenting on each other so much through these different
also that
shows
whole thing
and
about
and
like
movies.
that they tried to pitch where you have to watch the Disney Plus shows to keep up, and it's like you really don't. Like they didn't lean into that at all. Like except for maybe WandaVision, that's the only one. Like Moon Knight has nothing to do with anything.
I think WandaVision got too convoluted. So I will stand by this, and I know I'm the only one who thinks this, because even Loki, which I really like the ideas that they introduced, and they will come back, I don't think it really followed through. I think almost every person I know who watched Loki lost steam by the end. I think Hawkeye was the best series out of all of them because it knew exactly what it was at the beginning. By the end, it all tracks, and then it's over, and the characters. I just thought it was simple, and that was great. All the other shows, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, such a good idea. It was very important story, and then the plot got too convoluted, and I just that's what I think.
The good thing is if they do Young Avengers, you'll see Kate Bishop in there with America.
I hope it's better than
I
hope it's better than New Mutants, because New Mutants was fine, but not something to build a franchise on.
It was not fun.
Just double buzz it.
It was not fun.
Dave, you surprised me, and so therefore you open up a can of worms. But is there anything else? Should we say anything else positive? You want to shout out your people really quick? The stunties and the
I will say, like, because obviously the after credits scene, you sit through them, and did you sit through both? Did you get the second one?
I was on the inside, and I didn't feel like
the second one was fucking funny to me. It was. I haven't seen one that funny since the Captain America Spider-Man after credit scene.
I felt kind of gypped. I thought they were going to give me more information.
I was both gypped, but I'm like, that was good. Like, so stay for the second.
Poor bastard.
Stay for the second one. It's a laugh. But I mean,
in light of Jeff's comment of no moral dilemma, that guy finished punching himself after 3 weeks. That's fucked up.
But you know who that was, right? Like that's Bruce Campbell from The Evil Dead.
Bruce Campbell.
He's been with Sam Raimi from the beginning. So of course he got a fucking cameo. Bruce Campbell is now MCU canon, and I'll take it.
Sorry, Bruce. My bad.
Yeah.
And he's billed as himself.
That's awesome. I didn't see that. That's great. I will
Campbell
say, like,
self.
I'm looking forward to Charlize Theron as Clea. That's going to be fucking awesome to have her up against Cumberbatch. Holy hell! Because she's
a nemesis.
No, but she's kind of like, well, I mean, the personality you got in that after credit scene is like what you get. It's like you fucked up. We're going to fix it. But I mean, that was it was almost a clumsy introduction for such a fleshed out character.
She is kind of turning into the closer, isn't she?
Yeah.
They brought her in movie 6 of Fast and Furious or 7. I can't remember.
Yeah.
8 maybe, fucking 8.
Yeah.
She's coming in swinging at the tail end.
No, I'm looking forward to her version of that character. I will like also while I was sitting there waiting for these, the visual effects list. I understand now why DC had to push back everything. Because every fucking company known to man, including some that I'd never heard of. Like I hadn't heard of some of these guys. I was like, holy fuck, you just booked these guys out. Like,
guys, I'm gonna say it. It's gonna hurt. I'm sorry, the company that worked on it. I didn't buy the one-eyed monster at the beginning. It just let me down. I was just like, what is that? During the wedding, the one-eyed monster thing, the tentacle thing.
Yeah, that was a total penis reference.
It didn't look like most of the Marvel special effects. And I was trying to think, I was like, it's annoying being distracted, but I was sitting there in the theater thinking, what am I comparing it to? Why doesn't it look like the other Marvel effect? I guess we've never really seen a monster like that in Marvel before, but it didn't work for me. Like visually, I thought it looked like a CGI monster. It didn't look like it came from outer space or another dimension or whatever.
Oh,
I don't know.
that didn't bug me as much.
I did like the thing you're talking about.
I'm used to giant octopuses turning up in the city.
The fall was fun. I was ready for it to end when it ended, though. I was like, all right, we get it. You got to land somewhere and deal with what just happened. And again, I was
like, that looked a little too familiar for me. It was like, you've been pipped at the post for that one.
Okay, so I just had a system overload and had to restart recording, but I still have the save recording. So let's do a 1, 2, 3 clap. We'll clap at the same time, and that will be our cue to go into what you've been watching. Because I think
everybody play along with this at home.
Giving everybody the clap.
All right,
play along with this at home.
Clap at the same time as me. 1, 2, 3. All right, great. So now we're
Didn't
lined
work
up.
at all. Nobody
Not
clapped
even
at the same
close.
time.
No, because on Zoom there's a delay, but our audio is going to be
that's
hooked
funny.
up. Sorry,
Uh-huh.
Dave's going to Australia in the morning, and he's loving the fact that he has to line these.
Yeah,
back up
my
again.
flight's at 7:30 a.m. Don't worry about it.
Friends, it's been an
Yeah,
hour. Let's
fucker.
go ahead and tell people
All
what
right,
we.
so to wrap up, I'm just going to say what I always say, and I want you guys to tell me, because it sounds like you both have gone further in one direction. I think I'm in the same place I've been in for the past year and a half
I'm
with
very
all this
jealous.
stuff.
I shouldn't have
I don't
watched.
really
I shouldn't
care
have
that
watched
much
Marvel
anymore.
things right before I saw this movie. I should have given.
Okay,
myself
so yeah, I think I'm in the same space. If you love Marvel, I think it's still worth investing your time in.
Yeah.
The production value is incredible. They're trying really hard. If you're someone who doesn't really care about Marvel, you can stop. That's mine.
But it's the
that's my opinion.
conversations. I mean, people are talking about it. People want to be involved. So
True.
Sure. Yeah, I still see them, but I'm just saying I wouldn't blame somebody if they're like, I think I'm done. I'm like, I understand. You watch the first 22, you're good.
I mean, I had that thought over the weekend. So
yeah.
Whoa, Dave.
Whoa!
Oh,
The world will keep spinning if you don't watch all your Marvel.
is that a
content.
pig in the sky?
All right, enough of this.
What?
People know what we think. The only people left here are people who believe the same things as us. We're like the Tucker Carlson of fucking Doctor Strange.
Fuck
right?
Tucker Carlson.
Don't
Yes, I was
let
busy
even let you
too,
finish
yeah.
that fucking sentence.
Okay,
That
so
one's for
here we
Tucker.
go. We're
Fucker
gonna do a
Tucker.
quick round of what you've been watching. Dave, we always start with you. You're heading to Australia, so you're not going to be able to see anything for about 3 weeks. What you been watching?
Actually, what I was watching was Strange New Worlds, the new Star Trek.
You mentioned that, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I think-
Nice,
did you
dude.
mention
Still
that, or is that
watching
my
it? Still
dreams thing?
plugging?
It's I've only seen the
talked about it last week.
first episode, and holy crap! Because Anson Mount was in this as well. I'm
Yeah.
like, yay! So
Nice, dude.
that's
All
all I've seen
I have
really.
been watching. Nice. I rewatched The African Queen recently, and
Shit.
not my favorite John Huston film, but I rewatched it. Severance. I have.
Holy shit! You
started
finally saw it.
Severance.
Oh, it's so
I
good.
have- well, I haven't. I'm only through like 3 episodes, but I'm enjoying it. It seems like a show worth watching. Yeah, I don't really want to speak to it yet. I feel like I'm just getting to see what it's going to turn into. I'm still staying up to date with Winning Time and enjoying that quite a bit.
It's over. So if you're up to date, you
Yeah.
missed the season finale.
Yeah.
It aired last night, so I did not see last night.
Okay.
I still need to watch the final episode, but I have had a fun time watching that. How about you?
So I finished Moon Knight. Fine. The trauma thing. The trauma versus plot in Marvel. They just got to
Moon
figure
Knight
it out.
is what Oscar Isaac and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
weird
yeah,
character
yeah,
I've never
yes.
heard
And
of.
I was into it for
Okay.
a while, but I didn't realize. And the switch into the trauma, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, was interesting. It was a bold move, and I appreciated that. But then when you had to get back into plot and you're dealing with the trauma going into plot, I think they fucked up. Anyway,
I went right along with them.
okay, fine.
Yeah.
Spider-Man: No Way Home. I watched. I love wise, sage post trauma. Tobey Maguire even more than Andrew Garfield, and I really like Andrew Garfield. On the whole, yes, I liked the movie, but again, they started breaking their own rules and they started getting a little clever and convenient. But yes, it was entertaining for sure. I started watching Mrs. Maisel because I'm caught up, so I might as well keep going. So that's season 4.
Oh shit, I forgot that came out.
But I want
And
to shout
Ozark
out
season 3 is out.
Yeah, I want to shout or season 4, the final season. I want to shout out
Oh, yeah. 5.
the Alpine Nest. If you watched Free Solo and you liked Free Solo, Oscar-winning documentary for best feature documentary, the guy who climbs without a rope. So there's an Alpine Nest about this guy from British Columbia with ADHD that like did a lot of acid and had nowhere to go in life and just was climbing mountains that nobody had ever climbed solo before. And it's a very interesting documentary. It's on Netflix. The Alpine Nest.
Cool.
Okay.
It's a fucking journey. Something to think about. That's it.
Nice, dude. A lot of stuff out there to see. We're coming up on the summer season, folks. I'm going to encourage everybody. We will definitely be talking about it when it comes out, but Movie Pass 2.0 is supposed to be launching at some point in June.
That's not a
Let's go see some
documentary. That's
movies
just
that aren't
like
Marvel movies. No offense to
How do
Kevin
they
Feige.
still
We'll
have
keep
money?
seeing your movies too, but
Yeah.
let's go see other movies
All
as
right.
well and talk about them.
It's been fun,
Have a
guys.
good week, folks.
See you, Bill Fitz.
Film fans!